Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ball and Breakfast podcast. I'm Patrick Miller alongside Wayne Pua. We are back and ready to break down the NBA draft. If you were with us, about a month ago or so now, maybe a little bit more, we did an NFL draft special with 3 episodes. You can find, that whole coverage for the NFL draft if you're interested. Through our link on Instagram. If you're on social media, you can find us in our bio. We have a link to all of our outlets for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, etc. You can find Wayne on Twitter as well. He's out there, dropping all sorts of tweets and causing havoc. I'm all over Instagram, just, messing with other accounts and this and that and just shaming a lot of players and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. Getting a lot of hate coming in on the comments as well, which has really been entertaining. But in general, shows your support by, following us where you can. If you can leave us a review, those help. And seriously, if you have any critical feedback you just want to share with us offhand or on the spot, we're always happy to take it. So with that, we'll go into the NBA draft, which will take place on Thursday night. I'm going to kick it over to Wayne to kick this off. Kind of looking down the draft board as Bulls fans, we're in the 18 slot in the first round. I'm also looking at OKC has 3 picks in the first round, one of which is the top 3 picks. So you can start wherever you'd like, Wayne, but what are your thoughts on some of these players or potentially a team or two that you like?
Yeah, so I'll go right off the bat for who I think the Bulls ought to be taking. But we have some beers over here. Got the good old Angry Orchard hard cider here. So in a little bit of a Elysian mug. So I'm going to just pour it up here as I make this pick. But I'm going to go for, ooh, you got a little Old Forester. Okay.
That's not that 1920 Prohibition style on the rocks.
I guess we're celebrating for who we think the Bulls picks are going to be, but
for no real reason.
For no real reason whatsoever. But hey, it's always good to celebrate. So with my pick, cheers, man.
Right, cheers.
I'm going to pick EJ Liddell out of Ohio State.
There's no way you just said that.
Is that your guy?
That's my guy at 18, dude. How did we do that? No, I'm swear to God. Yeah, just so everybody knows we're not lying. EJ Liddell, Chicago. Okay, Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah. So, my take on it is I feel like the Bulls need that kind of Draymond, right? I think it was pretty apparent, Draymond's impact, and he definitely has a lot of Draymond aspects, and that he's like tough, can shoot the 3 a little bit. He kind of has that same body type as well. And I think we need that kind of like 4, a small lineup big guy that can help guard multiple positions, get some boards, guard the paint a little bit. So that's certainly is where I think with the Bulls and their current makeup that they need to be going. I think, in my opinion, like the way that they play defense right now with the Lonzo Ball, they kind of have a swarm defense. Lonzo, Caruso, that kind of depth lineup, and then like a DeRozan and Zach LaVine out there, and maybe Patrick Williams. Feel like they really need that that other 4 that can just be that kind of that center Draymond, if you will. So, and the NBA is very much a copycat league, and of course everybody's been copycatting the Warriors, and I think that EJ Liddell fits that mold to the T of what the Bulls are seeking for. So I think that would be my pick. Especially if Patrick Williams isn't necessarily healthy, or maybe they aren't able to necessarily land. The Bulls aren't able to land like that wing, 3 or 4 type of player. Then that's where I see that, hey, let's get somebody that is kind of ready-made with EJ Liddell can kind of come in and be an immediate impact. Not a Patrick Williams that's like 19 years old and has some room to grow there. I feel like EJ Liddell can come contribute pretty quickly. I think he shot up like almost 40% from the 3-point line too this past season from college, so can help stretch the floor. I think he would make perfect sense for the Bulls and what they're trying to do there. So, but want to hear your thoughts, man, and why you stole my guy.
I got so excited when you said that because of just reading through his bio. I was like, this is exactly the kind of guy that we need. Like a guy who's, he's 6'7". He probably moves like Draymond. I've seen some player comps to him and Grant Williams. I just think it's a player where, he can guard or play 3 through 5. A little undersized, but that makes him like very switchable, at least from the center position. They said he's an excellent shot blocker. When I think about, Nikola Vucevic down low, I mean, I like Vucevic's scoring, but in the same sense, it's just like, is that your traditional center or a center that can like really help you out when you got slashers coming down? It's like, I don't really think he's the right guy for that type of role, but I do like him like as a pick and pop kind of guy for the Bulls. So I just think he fills a lot of holes that we have in our roster, especially from the 3, 4, 5 spots. And, if anybody was to get injured, we had Patrick Williams was on the shelf for a little bit last year. If we just happen to have, anybody go back on the shelf, it's like to bring in some fresh legs from those positions is just so helpful to us. So I'm with you though, because I was, there was a lot of small forwards or, bigger shooting guards. I was like, this might also work for us, but I just think the Bulls are a little bit too far down in the pecking order to grab a guy that they, would really like to have. Maybe there's a couple guys I would throw out there just from like maybe a Malachi Branham from OSU, maybe an Ochai Agbaji from Kansas, but I just feel like those guys are going to go higher, so they're just not going to be able to get their hands on them at the right time unless they make, a trade that I can't really foresee. I can't see him like packaging up multiple picks or a player. I mean, I've heard Kobe White might be on the block. I mean, I like Kobe a lot from the bench and to have some like offensive prowess behind ball. But, if it comes to it and we package, our 18 and Kobe, for example, maybe we can move up to, the Knicks and, dish him off to the Knicks who are looking for a point guard, or maybe it's, another team up in the top 10. But, that's my initial thoughts, I guess, when it comes to, maybe the Bulls and what they're looking to do.
Yeah. Who would you trade up? Curious, like if you were to trade up like the 18th pick and Kobe White for a pick in this draft, who do you think that they would be able to land? Either elsewhere.
I mean, you said it last time. I mean, I think when we were doing this pod, I'm looking at AJ Griffin from Duke, and I'm looking at Ochai Agbaji from Kansas as well. It's like they're both 3-point scorers. We shot the least amount of 3-pointers in the NBA last year. I mean, I still liked our offense because DeRozan's like the king of the two, but in today's NBA, like you do need to have somebody who's going to drop down, 3-point baskets. I just think that's a big thing. And these guys are more than that too. It's not just like they're specialists in a sense, but they've been, scouted as being really good pros, guys who can just be pure scorers, good athletes. So I just think a mix of those kinds of, qualities or skill sets would just really fit well on a Bulls team or really any team in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if I would trade, but to your point, like we definitely need 3-point shooters. So that's where I feel content, I guess, with Liddell, and then maybe we can. I know there's a lot of Bulls talk on Rudy Gobert and everything. So, but of course, it's like, do we want to get rid of Patrick Williams? Well, I kind of want Patrick Williams because Bulls need those wings, and he shot really well from the 3-point line too. So if he, he just needs to be healthy and be more assertive, I think is the whole thing. So, but I do like AJ Griffin. I'll share what I have him next kind of on here. But no, I do agree that hey, if they are to trade up, I mean, do we trade up for like a Mark Williams, kind of like get that center, that rim runner a little bit, kind of as a backup, or see kind of like as that Rudy Gobert, because he definitely has that length and all that, and that potential. He just needs maybe more grooming though. But I do like AJ Griffin overall. So, but who knows what we'll do there. I would like to keep, though, to your point, Kobe White. I think we do need that offense. So if we were to trade Kobe White away from the bench, it's like, well, who's going to be scoring on the bench now? We don't know. So yeah, I think that's my biggest deter. It's like we need that kind of Lou Williams from the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be inclined to just know his name's getting dangled. So if it happens tomorrow night where he gets traded somewhere, I guess I won't be surprised. But I'm kind of with you. I think if Liddell falls to us, that'd be really nice. To your point on Gobert, I think he's a great defender. I just know with his contract and what Utah is asking for, it's like, we're going to gut our team. And then what are we going to be at the end of the day? The Utah Jazz. It's like, so it's like, we'll be Chicago's version of the current Utah Jazz. And it's like, I just don't see that as being like a championship solution for us long-term, but still love that talent. Mark Williams, he's obviously high up on the ranking board. I think he's like top 15 for most outlets, 7'2", kind of your traditional big. I don't know. I would just like prefer to go the Liddell route. I just feel like that's more modern. I mean, a guy like Robert Williams, just kind of showed out in the finals. Draymond's always been that kind of, center with, ball instincts too. It's just kind of like, I think I'd like going in that direction. I think our team is kind of, to a much lesser extent, like trying to more or less emulate what the Warriors have going on. But we're definitely not on that shelf, at least as of yet. But with more depth pieces and young guys that we could throw in there in our rotation, I'm excited about what the future could look like.
Yeah, and for me, it's like if we were to trade, Kobe White, it's like not to say like we can't have any type of bench scoring, but certainly would just be something to address, in the off season, by probably free agency then. So, but that could be another episode. But yeah, I do think it could be exciting. I love the NBA draft overall, and I'm excited for what the, in AK we trust, right? So I would love to see Liddell in a Bulls uniform. I think he fits kind of what we're looking for overall. Thaddeus Young kind of like, that four, like an actual four that is kind of versatile. I think he can definitely fit that mold, and / Draymond as well. And yeah, the NBA is definitely different from your grandpa's type of NBA, right? So, that's always where it's just the smaller teams I feel like are with good defensive rotation is the key thing. Not the Rockets from the years past can definitely are they the winners of the NBA these days, I feel like. So yeah. What other picks stand out to you in this drafts, or any trades you want to share?
Yeah. So I guess I'm looking at number 4. I believe in what the scouts are saying, and I looked at the top 3 teams. When you look at Orlando, OKC, Houston, you look at 3 of the top players on the board in Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paulo Banchero. So it's like, I kind of agree that those 3 are going to go top 3. Orders might be different. I've got Smith, Holmgren, Banchero in my order, but I think that 4 is super interesting because I think Jaden Ivey is going to be the best player in this draft. And it's like, it's unfortunate that everybody could probably sit back right now and maybe make an argument he's the best player in this draft, probably has the most upside. And yet he can't find himself into the top 3 because you're worried about Cole Anthony, Gilgeous-Alexander, and then, the Jalen Green Porter thing going on in Houston. So it's like, I personally would take him and just figure it out later. But at 4 with Sacramento, they've got an interesting thing going on too, because it's like, they've got Fox, they've got Davion Mitchell, who they just drafted, they got rid of Halliburton because they wanted, a big in Sabonis. So it's like, they've been doing this point guard thing for a while now. And it's just one of those things you can't miss. So it's like, he's 6'4". They say he plays kind of like a Ja Morant light, which is crazy to even think that these top 3 teams are going to pass on those kind of prospects. But in general, when I look at Sacramento, I feel like they'd probably want to go the small forward, power forward route, maybe a traditional shooting guard. So it's like, who could they make a deal with in the NBA that would, fix maybe some of their problems, or, get them a little bit more intrigued? I was thinking, just with the Knicks looking for a point guard, could a package of the number 11 and Julius Randle maybe start conversations, maybe some futures? I don't know. I mean, the Kings seem to sometimes make kind of foolish trades when they've got, draft capital or, some promising prospects. I feel like some might argue that the Halliburton Sabonis could end up being a whiff down the line. Like, I don't know. But that was one place where my head started, to go with that. I know the Wizards are also looking for, a point guard. I don't know who they would trade that would be of real interest to Sacramento. There's no scenario where I see Bradley Beal going, "Hey, sign and trade me to Sacramento," when he's got all the choices in the world. But it's tough. It's tough. But if Sacramento holds tight and just holds on to Ivy, then they've got a Fox, Mitchell, Ivy thing going on, and who knows? They've been trying to get rid of De'Aaron Fox. Maybe De'Aaron Fox becomes part of a bigger conversation around the league. I mean, the Knicks are looking, the Nets might be looking if something crazy happens, but De'Aaron Fox could be a really nice player for a playoff contender. I mean, Boston, we saw, was that point guard short, that scorer short of, maybe winning it all. Could a De'Aaron Fox be somehow packaged over to Sacramento or to Boston from Sacramento? I don't know, but that's just where my head's going with this draft, and that's what I think will be one of the most memorable things coming from it on Thursday.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think the first three, every single mock draft I've been looking at, it's usually Jabari seems like it used to be Chet Holmgren, right? Like as number one, but then I feel like people are like, that scrawny kid is going to be number one. Yeah. So they went with Jabari overall. So it sounds like Jabari is going to be number one. Then there's been bouncing back and forth between Chet Holmgren and Banchero. I got Holmgren going to OKC and then Banchero going to the Rockets. But that honestly was kind of like 50-50 in my opinion. I think they both kind of fit the team needs a little bit of what they're looking for. So that all makes sense. To your point, 4 is going to be the interesting one. If I am the Kings, I kind of just had it as I don't know if they're actually going to do it because they always seem to be making bad choices. So I think that they're gonna. I think hey, they maybe they do stand pat there and then they just take a wing and make the mistake of not taking Ivy or if they do trade. To your point, it'd be cool if they are able to trade. Organization I think that would be possibly a good fit there would be the Pacers, actually, if they're able to jump from 6. I don't know exactly what assets they can trade, but I'm sure that there's some player that the Sacramento Kings would want there. So that could be a potential opportunity there because I think that the Pacers, it seems like they're just kind of that, I think they need someone to pair up with Halliburton a little bit, kind of have that Ivy definitely has that more of a attacker model. I think he's like, some people can read like a John Morant. So if he pairs up with the Halliburton, is a little bit, he can shoot and all that, very, very tactical, not as explosive as say like a John Morant. Then I feel like that's like a great backcourt combination going forth. So if they can do that, have a backcourt of like Tyrese Halliburton and I guess John Morant Light and Jaden Ivey, then I feel like, hey, that's a slam dunk, I think, for the Pacers. And then I think that the Kings, if they were to draft, move to the 6th slot, I think that's definitely where maybe they go after someone like a Keegan Murray or something like that, who I think fits them a little bit more on there. So I think that's my initial thoughts, probably on what could possibly happen there. And then my boy AJ Griffin, I think, and I hope kind of for his sake, I think he could pair up pretty well with Dame Lillard over at Portland. And
dude, again, you got me at number 7. That's where I got him going.
Yeah,
great. No, the proof is here. 1, 6, 7.
I see him. Yeah, I see it. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Just for the record. All right. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think he fits out really well. I think he could fit really well there because, probably same thoughts as you. I think he could. He's definitely a good spot up shooter. I think he shot like 45% or something like that at Duke. And I think he has a lot of room to grow. He was injured for a lot of the season at Duke, but he showed up at the NCAA tournament and showed that he was definitely capable. He kind of reminded a lot of people. I saw like a little bit of Jimmy Butler, just maybe with a better 3-point shot. So if he can do that, like that's going to be a good NBA player. Obviously his dad is a coach in the NBA, so he knows the business, he knows the system and everything. So I think he has a lot going up for him, in my opinion. So like I think he could be a potential all-star So, paired up with Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard needs help. He needs help. So,
Jesus, man.
if Griffin could come in there, could kind of contribute as soon as he can. I don't know what his timeline would look like there. I know he's like 19 or 20, right? So, if he can help contribute, and I'm hoping that Dame Lillard gets the help because it sounds like he just doesn't want to leave. So. Yeah.
The only help he needs is, to get an agent that will, talk him into trading himself from that team. Because seriously, like he's like the Bradley Beal of the West. Like it's like, guys, I'd love to play for the same franchise my entire career too, and hang a banner and be like, yeah, I never left. But you want to be doing that for the Spurs, or the current modern day Warriors. You want to be doing it for. These franchises that have been middling, basically your entire career. I mean, Portland had more success than Washington, but it's just like, I don't know. At a certain point, I mean, we could debate that whole thing, and I think we have touched on Lillard in the past. But but yeah, I mean, with Nurkic going free and Simmons on an RFA, like if any of these guys leave, he's back at ground zero.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I agree. It's like. I think the most sense probably would be like a Philadelphia go team up with Embiid or something like that. But it sounds like they want to keep Harden and kind of keep closer to what they already have right now. So, but yeah, we can keep going with regards to Dame Lillard and feel like he definitely needs either help or needs to be in a different situation because he just has too much goddamn talent. I feel like so just be there. Yeah,
I actually saw an interesting mock that had New Orleans trying to pluck Lillard from Portland, giving up the number 8 pick. I think Brandon Ingram's always been kind of in the conversation, but even if you didn't toss him Ingram, I don't because at this point, how many more like elite Lillard years do we have left? Like I can't remember his age offhand, but I just feel like as the years go by, his cloud is going down and down. Like, and it's not really anything about his game for me. It's just more like he hasn't been in the playoffs for a while. He hasn't like carried a team to like any sort of I don't know. Like I struggle with Lillard because I'm like, is he just a flashy, fun player to watch, like a Carmelo in his prime? But he's just really like not the guy that you need to get over the top, or do we have unlocked, some locked potential that we haven't seen from him, an extra gear where he could compete at the highest level and like grind it out and like win big series? Like we've never seen it. Like it sucks that we've never seen that.
Yeah. Well, no, and this is the whole thing I think with like point guards. Like we've had Chris Paul for almost 2 decades now, and while he has helped a lot of teams in the modern day NBA, like obviously there's Steph Curry, who's like this anomaly out of just blows everybody out. But it's hard to have like a traditional point guard, if you will, these days, to help lead that team. Like you need that either wing scorer / defender that can guard multiple positions. That KD, that LeBron, that Kawhi, right? Potentially Tatum and Brown. You need that wing to help push things forth because you got to be guarding multiple positions. You got to get a bucket when you want, and the best players to do that are oftentimes either Steph Curry, who's Mighty Mouse extraordinaire, or that wing, if you will. And it just becomes a lot more apparent these days for that. So if Lillard, were to pair up with either a wing or some sort of like an Embiid, and you put a bunch of 3-and-D players around there, then I could see that working. But it's hard to see Lillard. I mean, Lillard's shown up, in the playoffs. He's had his clutch moments. Obviously I think some postseasons or some series, teams just shut him down. They're just, he just doesn't have that help. So it's like kind of like what Curry didn't have Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant or whatever, right? Like he just didn't have that supporting cast. So, part of it is that health aspect too, and just getting players there. So yeah, like I don't know if he's had the chance, and I think that's been our biggest thing is like we just need to see him have that chance and opportunity with a supporting cast or some other players that can help him reach that peak level. But I don't know who's like, oh, I want to go to Portland. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, you know.
Right. And it feels like it falls right in line with the Bradley Beal argument in Washington. It's like, I think Lillard's, a better player or a more attractive player in my eyes than, obtaining Bradley Beal. But in the same sense, it's like, we kind of know Beal's probably not your number one on a championship team. It's like, he's got to be your 2 or 3, but it's like, we've never seen him in those moments. So we just don't know what he's really made of yet. And that's kind of the frustrating point. So hopefully both of those guys, not to get away from the draft, but like, hopefully they can like, open up their minds to just some different things. And from the rumors, it seems like Beal's like heading in that direction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I would like to know, who's your favorite player? Like, I'm sure you've done some like reading up on a lot of these players other than Liddell. Who would you say is probably like your favorite player?
Yeah. So we touched on some of them. Jaden Ivey. I like AJ Griffin. For the Bulls, I like Liddell. I see one thing that I found different from my mock than others was I have Ochai Agbaji from Kansas going number 9 to San Antonio. He just seems like a guy that Pop would love. Like, just a great athlete. He's a great 3-point scorer. He's good at, scoring overall. They kind of compare him to a Mikal Bridges, 6'6", shooting guard, small forward, switchable type. Like, he seems to be everything a team should want. And yet, on most of the, ranking sheets, I found him to be like, top 15 to top 20 prospect when I think he's a top 10 player overall. I just think he has so many assets that he could unlock as he grows and grows. And it's like, he seems to, he's played for a winner in Kansas, like a well-coached team. I'm sure he's going to be confident in those moments where he gets a chance to play for a team that's like on the rise, or, maybe he's a centerpiece of the future Spurs who, I think we were talking about it at the outset of our playoff predictions, but, with DeJounte Murray and, some of their wing talent, I think like they're a team to look out for in the coming years. I mean, I think they've got a couple draft picks here in the first round, 3 actually in the first round this year. So it's like, if they can grab a guy like Agbaji and kind of maybe a couple of solid, talents at the end of the first round, Spurs could be an interesting a team move, I guess, in the short term.
Yeah, no, I like that. I have him going Ochai Agabi. I think I'm botched his name, but Ochai. I have him going 14 to Cleveland. I think he's a good player. I did like him. Remember seeing him in the NCAA tournament, everything balled out. So I think he's a senior, right? So I think it's one of those things like he can definitely come in and contribute immediately, has that confidence to just do that. So he's a lot more developed. So I think he can do that. I do like the idea of him going to a place like the Spurs. I think I had Jalen Duren going to the Spurs. I think if I'm Pop, I think I'd like a little bit more of that big man. I think they need a little bit more muscle, just kind of just pound in the paint a little bit. So I know that's kind of like where Pop kind of likes to have for his big men, Tim Duncan and all that. So I think he would be more of an upgrade. They have a lot of wings, so I kind of went that route. And then DeJounte Murray, like they're going to be a scary team, I think. Yeah, either next year, or maybe the next couple of years. With Vassell and then Johnson. I think they have a lot of talented players that can help contribute and are probably going to take that next level, in the next year or two. So, I could potentially see a playoff team coming up from them. A lot of good players, a lot of good young solid players that fit that system. So, but yeah, to your point with regards to Ochai, I think he can be a great contributor. I have him going to Cleveland. I think he can contribute immediately for there. I think that would be a great fit. Okoro's, I was actually kind of high on Okoro. I know I was like kind of interested with the Bulls taking him back in his draft day, but I feel like they need that kind of person to spread it out a little bit more. Okoro's just not that type of shooter. Good defender, can finish, but he just hasn't progressed in my opinion. Maybe he does, in this coming year, but I think it's always good to have that extra wing. They have, you're a small forward on not to be marketed. I don't think that's the best thing either. Yeah, from a defensive rotation aspect or, spreading the floor on offense. So that's where I definitely see that they need that wing, such as an Ochai. So, but yeah, I would love to see the Spurs like take something like that though.
Yeah. Same question to you. I mean, besides the guys that we've already covered, is there anybody else on your list that you wanna point out?
Man, that's a great question because I feel like the guys we covered, I do like. I do like if I was looking at some of the players and kind of fits, trying to taking all that into account. I think I got really excited about the Nuggets if they were to get someone like Kennedy Chandler,
Okay.
from Tennessee. I think they definitely needed that point guard. I think I know was it Morris, Monte Morris, did a solid job, but if Murray, who knows how exactly what level he's going to be balling out. I hope he balls out. I think he probably will, but I definitely think they need that depth. And potentially also putting him at like the shooting guard type of thing. Somebody that can play off ball. I think that he could pair up pretty well. That Kennedy Chandler could probably pair up pretty well with Jamal Murray, kind of like in the same backcourt. So that's where I see him possibly fitting. Although Nikola Jovic,
I was gonna say it just for comedy, just for comedy's sake. We had to point that out.
That would be hysterical. I have Jovic going though to Milwaukee. I think I read a scouting report about Nikola going. Like he needs to be somewhere where there's just a bunch of wings and like solid defensive talent because he has none. I'm like, oh, he would fit perfectly then in, the Bucks there. So I just haven't going there, but I would be awesome for Twitter if you were to go there.
How do you think Nikola Jokic would feel about having Nikola Jovic on the team?
I'd be like, there's nobody else? You don't got anybody else? Like, there's like entire draft here, a bunch of players from everywhere. You got to pick that guy, one guy with that one syllable. That's the difference. Like, is that it?
Dude, I didn't mention this, but I actually have a guy named Wayne Lua that wants to join the podcast. So it's going to be us three just doing something. I don't know if you're all right with that, but I thought that'd be kind of cool.
The Waynes and Pat, that would be hilarious. Yeah, I got a friend, another friend named Pat. Then let's see if he wants to do that. So
yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think that's fair. But
yeah. So
no, all kidding aside, I think I think that's a good amount of coverage, at least from this first round. I guess I had a trivia question for you I wanted to throw out there. I want to see if you can get this. But there are two former championship bowl sons that are in this draft. Can you name the two sons of championship bowls players that are in this draft pool, looking for places to be?
Champions. Wow, that's a great one. I'm trying to look at these last names.
No cheating.
So is it that they won an NBA championship with the Bulls or with another team?
Yes. Yes. They were part of the championship Bulls teams, but two of the championship Bulls sons are ready to come into the NBA. They are nearing the first round, but they are more or less in the second round. I just wanted to see. And the funny part is they share their dad's names.
Oh, they do share their dad's names. Okay. I don't know off the top of my head. That's a great question. Like, did Dickie Simpkins have a son? Or I'm trying to pull out like all. Is there other players like that around there? I don't know. So yeah, who are they?
Yeah, it's not Judd Bushler Jr. and Bill Wennington Jr. It is Scottie Pippen Jr. and Ron Harper Jr. From Vanderbilt and Rutgers, respectively.
That's great. Yeah, I have heard of those players and I've seen some tape on them, but yeah, I forgot that they were kind of floating around here. But hey, how about that? I think there were 4 sons of NBA players and on the championship winning Golden State Warriors team. So
wow.
There definitely is something to just having that father kind of just like showing the ropes of how to do things in there. So yeah, I think it was Curry, Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Gary Payton. So
wow. Yeah. Who is Wiggins' dad?
Wiggins' dad, I mean, he didn't have a prominent career like, even like Del Curry or whatever, but I think he played for the Rockets. I forgot his name exactly, but yeah, he was in there for like a couple of years, and probably I think then moved to Canada. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to shift gears a little bit. Two things that I saw in news. One was an actual trade that got rejected today. Wanted your thoughts, but Indiana Pacers would have received Russell Westbrook, Taylor Horton Tucker, and a future 2026 first round draft pick from the Lakers in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon. The Pacers said no. I had a reaction to it, but I was just wondering when you hear those names and salaries or like how much they've got left in the tank, like what do you think of that trade proposal?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Apparently, what the Pacers chuckled at it. They're like, "What is this?" or something like that. So apparently, it was definitely one sided. It seems like there. Um, in all honesty, like in my opinion, like where Russell Westbrook is right now, like I don't think he fits anything that the Pacers are trying to do for the future. Not to say that Brogdon does. I definitely see that Brogdon fits probably better for the Lakers than Westbrook did. He's definitely more of that 3-point shooter shot. I think he was one of the players that surprisingly has shot that 50, 40, 90 line. So, I think he definitely, surrounds LeBron then with that other shooter. And then I think it was also, what was his name? Taylor or whatever. Horton was, I think, probably included in that trade, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah,
So
Taylor Horton Tucker, THT.
yeah. Chicago Simeon person. So, I mean, yeah, I think he would definitely fit probably better. I think he needs the ball more, to be honest. Than when he was getting with the Lakers. I think if he were to go to a smaller market or a team that just doesn't have as many prominent players in there, I think he could do well there. But I do not like this trade though for the Pacers though. I'm kind of on their boat with regards to what they want to do. Because I feel like if you want to get a player like Russell Westbrook in his contract and all, it's like, well, why? Like, what are the plus sides? Like, is he a championship bringer and all that? It's apparently shown that he isn't, and especially with the roster that the Pacers have, like if they were surrounded with shooters, like if they had a Klay Thompson or something like that, maybe, and some other like a good quality 3-and-D type of shooters, great, but that's not what they have. So, and in whether they're in their trajectory, it sounds like the Pacers are they're trying to move up, but Pacers have always been like, let's draft some players, let's get some players that maybe are overlooked a little bit, and then kind of groom from there. So I just don't think that fits kind of what where they're going through. I honestly feel like Russell Westbrook needs to get out of LA. It seems like he's not wanted, but I don't know exactly where he would go to. So that would be interesting. But what would love to hear what you think though.
Yeah, sorry. No, I mean, so when I first saw that the Pacers rejected it, I was a little surprised. I only say it, I mean, Brogdon had really good numbers last year. He had 19 points per game. Want to say he averaged about 5 or 6 assists. It seems like, a very capable player. Seems like a nice guard on a playoff team. That's kind of fully loaded and like ready to win, compete for championships and things like that. Like I think he'd be, a nice missing piece for a team like Boston or, a team that's really like nearing the finish line. I just feel like, when you have Tyrese Halliburton and, you are trying to kind of, maximize, if you've got a player like Brogdon, I feel like you want to maximize your trade return with a guy like him. He played 36 games last year, which is underwhelming. Seems like he's got some injury concerns. So when I saw, Taylor Horton Tucker in a first rounder that's like way in the future, could be important. Maybe it's not. I thought off the bat, interesting. And then the Westbrook thing, like I know he's got this massive year left on his contract. I mean, it's pricey. It's going to constrain you somewhat for, this season. But in the same sense, I think Russell, productivity wise, is going to give you, in my eyes, more than Brogdon will in a 1 year for 1 year swap. Russell won't give you more in LA with LeBron and Anthony Davis and all the hoopla. Like, I think we've kind of seen that he's not fit for that environment. But I think an area like Indianapolis, where it's like, okay, everybody's taking their eyes off you now. Just go out there and play some of your game. I think he'd just be so good for Halliburton. But in the same sense, my thought is that the Pacers don't have to hold Westbrook for the whole year. My thought is that Westbrook pretty much plays, with the ball in hand, but can also play off Halliburton a little bit. I think he's a guy who could, still do triple doubles. He's maybe falls a little shy of that in the first half of the season. And when you get to the All-Star break, you've now gotten a chance to kind of showcase Westbrook in a new light. And in the same way, maybe there's some second half trade value there where you cut his contract in half and you say, hey, Boston, you're looking to make that, championship push. Hey, Knicks, you guys are looking to, do more damage in the playoffs this year. You're pretty weak at point guard. Hey, Minnesota, Pat Beverly left you or whatever have you. It's just kind of like, I think Indiana would be a nice little proving ground for Russ to just like up his trade value a little bit more. Indiana maybe stays competitive in the East, maybe in the lower seeds of a play-in or something like that. And it's like, maybe that's another return that you can swap out for a young asset or maybe a couple of them. And then it's just like, just kind of, I don't know. I guess it just seemed funny to me that it was kind of like instantly dismissed. And it kind of seemed like the vibe I got was like Indiana was like laughing, like you said. And I was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I didn't hate it. That's all I was thinking is like, I just don't hate it. And I'm going to hate to see Westbrook in LA for one more season. It just seems painful on all ends. And it's just like, I've always liked Russ. I've always liked the intensity he's brought to the game. He's obviously shown so much better in other places than LA, but I want to see him get a redemption opportunity here because, he made Washington a really relevant team for one season. It was just like nice to kind of see him go there and just like, pair with Beal and like make them relevant again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've got my mixed feelings with Westbrook, but I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no. I mean, I love watching his highlights and I don't know, just seeing like him, I think Michael Jordan is even so like he's like his favorite player to watch because you just see like his passion for the game. Like he just lays it on the floor, plays with a lot of intensity. Some say he can be a little bit reckless, but hey, sometimes and I think the Greeks they have like a saying something of like basically going like YOLO essentially on the battlefield. It's like he just leaves it all on there. So I think you can appreciate Russell Westbrook's game. Is he a fit though? Yeah, with the Lakers, no. They needed that space. They need a point guard that can shoot. I feel like that's certainly where a Brogdon can definitely fit in there a little bit more so. So that's where I just don't see him there. But it'll be interesting to see where he does go. And I'm trying to look to see if there's like an appropriate team that would, that he would fit in well with and like kind of just mesh with. I feel like he would, maybe if he does like do something like with a Chris Paul type of situation, right? Where, he comes in to like a maybe an underperforming type of young team that kind of just needs that extra veteran presence that Russell Westbrook can bring that, just doesn't have that solid point guard. That or, I kind of almost hate to say it, but it's like if he were to come off the bench, like he would be great on there, but kind of a pricey situation, maybe a little bit kind of like the Carmelo Anthony type of situation in Portland. But if he were to come to like a young type of team or take that bench spot, that so he could have the ball in his hands and just like kill, I think that would be great. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see him for his own sake and his own career just staying in LA. And I think they got to move. So yeah, if it is Pacers, great. But if I'm the Pacers, I wouldn't do that trade though. So yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, I think I threw out some teams. I mean, another one that maybe maybe could be a potential destination is maybe you have Lowry and Oladipo do he's a free agent, but if he does the sign and trade, maybe you do an Oladipo Lowry for Westbrook flip flop in Miami and LA. I mean, it's possible, just salary match wise, but it's kind of seemed like Pat Riley was calling out Kyle Lowry for his weight, and it was just like he's getting much better shape, and I think Lowry with his ring has proven that he knows how to win, which is important, but doesn't seem like they're going to be able to afford Oladipo, nor do they kind of need him with the amount of shooting guard small forwards they got on that squad. So it's a potential swap there, but I wanted to stay on Miami because the other mock trade that I saw that I thought was pretty intriguing, and like everybody wants to talk about Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets, and like we've made our points pretty clear on Kyrie, but I saw a mock that basically showed Kyrie for Lowry and Tyler Hero. Kyrie going to the Miami Heat, and then Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero going to Brooklyn in return. Tyler Hero is looking for a starting role. He's looking to kind of showcase his skills. But what do you think of that if you were Miami or if you were Brooklyn?
If I don't know if he would fit in Miami. I think that's the whole thing, right? Like Miami definitely has that, we've talked about it. A lot of them, they're all dogs, right? They have to have that killer instinct type of attitude. And hey, Kyrie definitely showed up in the playoffs, hit that clutch 3-pointer against Steph Curry. But, I think we've talked on this podcast, just like, he has yet to prove for us, like after not having LeBron around there, just like, hey, I am here. I'm taking this job seriously. I'm here to ball. And, he definitely showed up. I thought I saw something like he was like shooting crazy percentage, during Ramadan, I believe, right? And just balling out there. And then he had a banana, and then he started eating more. And then all of a sudden, like, yeah, he lost his like enlightenment with regards to he's playing and all that. So maybe he needs to, go on more fasting type of things. I don't know. So, but you're skip the pregame meal. But yeah, I would, if he were to show up like that, Kyrie, like it would be awesome for him to do that. Kind of show what he did, in Cleveland, or during that one series in the playoffs. I think it was like the first round of the playoffs. When he's on the Nets and everything. So that would be great if he could show up there for the Heat, because I want to see Jimmy Butler get a chip. So if he can do that with Kyrie, I feel like that would be great. But Hero, I definitely want to see him progress. I don't know if he's there yet. I don't want to say maturity wise or anything like that, but to be that starter, to be creating his shots, playing good solid defense and everything there. I don't know if I see it yet, but he's still young. I don't think he's a lost cause yet. So I think he just maybe needs some a little bit more maturing there. And then obviously injuries kind of hurt him in the playoffs and kind of limit his play time there. So, but yeah, I if he wants to start, great. But I mean, hey, Manu's had a Hall of Fame career, right? So can't always do that. And to like Eric Spoelstra's thing with regards to having him off the bench, I think he's great off the bench. I think he definitely brings that extra, that 6-man role, which especially in this rotational period of the NBA, like where you always need to have a scorer on there. He definitely fits that to the T. Can he start? Sure, but I think from a rotation standpoint, like having off the bench or like getting extended minutes with the second team, like he would definitely do well with that. Just because he can create his own shot and score. So I would, if I'm Hero, I would love to stay with the Heat more so. Just because I don't know what's going to happen if I were to go to the Nets or something like that. But if I'm Hero, I would prefer to stay. But hey, maybe if Kyrie were to join the Heat, he would just be like, all right, I'm just going to concentrate on ball and living the good life in a no state income tax state. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both agree though, like we could never trust Kyrie Irving to like come in and be serious for like 4 or 5 years and like play 80 games or 75 games a year and put up numbers and be a leader in the clubhouse. Like it's kind of frustrating because I feel like a lot of these executives are like kidding themselves. Like, yeah, we all see the talent, but we also see the talent with a lot of guys like a Kyrie Irving. I mean, again, I'll go like Carmelo Anthony. Ben Simmons has flashed talent in the past. James Harden was amazing on Houston in his prime, but it's like there are some guys where I'm like, can I really trust you if I give you 4 or 5 years worth of max money? Are you going to be here and show us that you're like dedicated to this? Like, maybe next year I could see Kyrie, putting a more serious effort forward if he doesn't get, I mean, he's going to get his deal. I just feel like that's going to happen. But, this swap for me in theory would make some sense. I mean, if I'm Miami, like, I don't think that how they're currently constructed is a finals winning squad, because number one, they're going to have to get through the East, which is, it's pretty top heavy, but then you also got to get through whoever your opponent is out west. And I don't know if they have enough in place right now to get that done. A guy like Kyrie at full blow for at least one season could be that difference maker if he really, really cared about it. So the biggest part for me, I mean, not as much on Lowry, but like with Hero, being 22 and putting up 25 for, I think he got the 6th Man of the Year award. Getting rid of a piece like that would be, you need to get somebody back who's going to like one up that next year at least, while you still have like this very serious window of contention. For the Nets, I think it would do great good for them. I mean, if I was the Nets GM, I would think about all the trade scenarios that were put on the table from every single team, and I would take the best one, because there's just no way I'm doing 4 or 5 years to that guy. And, Durant may say something, but if you come back to Durant and you said, look, I can get you Lowry, Hero, and some cap space, and I can get maybe, maybe we can bring back Drummond. Maybe we can bring back Nick Claxton too. I think he's restricted, but I can get you some other bench pieces. Do you want PJ Tucker? I'll bring you PJ Tucker for a year. I'd start going down the line. Like, here's how I'm going to create your championship team without Kyrie. Like, I think Kevin Durant would listen. And, I think, Hero on his own, he's not going to be the guy that, leads you to a championship, on his own, or, without some good support. But if he's with Brooklyn, if he's with Durant, if he's with Simmons, if he's got Lowry, if they can bring back some depth pieces with Seth Curry, like, now we're talking. Now we're getting there. So I thought the mock was interesting. I didn't think about Kyrie to Miami. But again, the other thing with Kyrie is, he's not going to go anywhere that's not sexy. So you got to find somewhere that's like spotlight, big city, very appealing to him. He's wearing out his welcome everywhere in the league. Like, where else is he going to go? Pat Riley, a type like Pat Riley is the only guy, like maybe barring like a Steve Kerr or a Popovich, that could rein that guy in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he would, it would be interesting, right? I think there's been like the Twitter laughter trade of what would happen if Kyrie and Westbrook switched spots, right? Like, what would that be like, right? I feel like it's like, why is Kevin Durant getting back with all his exes, right? If that were to happen.
God.
Yeah. So that would be hysterical if that were to happen. But I mean, it's like, Kyrie is like one of the most talented, like talent-wise, right? Talented players in the NBA. Probably the best dribbles. Like, it's like either him or like Curry, or like the best, like 99%, 99 on NBA 2K or whatever. Like, hands down, like one of the best ballers ever. Like, I get faked out and I'm just sitting there on the couch, right? And he's also a tremendous shooter, tremendous finisher. So like, he's got all the talent in the world with regards to just playing ball. But then, how does he fit into the team? Kind of, is he the leader? Is he like the second type of person, right? That's kind of just been his whole thing, kind of post Cleveland right now. So in a way, it almost felt like, with being in Cleveland, like was like made sense, in terms of getting the best basketball quality out of him, because it's like, what do you do in Cleveland? No, just ball. Like, then, now he's in Brooklyn, and, he was in Boston, and, that whole thing. So it's like, had a lot of distractions here and there. So like for him, it's just like if you just concentrate on ball and just concentrating on that, like great. Like what would happen if you were to move to Utah, right? That would be interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he'd probably like win chips over there, like him and Mitchell. But yeah, like it's just for like him. It's just for whatever reason, it's just not. It's hard for him to kind of get it all there with whatever team he's on, unless he has like that LeBron, just be like that. That staple to be like, hey, let's concentrate on winning. Hey, let's put all this stuff away, right? So maybe he's just not like that leader alpha that you want necessarily in that team to just take you over the hump. So kind of similar to Kawhi in a way. I think Kawhi kind of suffers from that. Like he won the chip when he was with Kyle Lowry, right? Lowry was the leader of that team. He was just the best. Kawhi Leonard was just the best player, had all the skills and best defensive player and all that. So, but wasn't necessarily the vocal leader to like tell the youngins, hey, don't do this, or work with the veterans, like, hey, let's do this for the team. So, yeah, I don't think he's a leader, but he's got a load of talent similar to Kawhi. So I think he just needs to go somewhere where he does have that kind of alpha there, and yeah, I don't know. And to me, Durant is kind of the same boat, like all the talent in the world, but he had to go to that 72 73 win team, right? To win a chip there. And he wasn't the leader for that team. He was the best player on the team, but not necessarily the leader on the team. So I think they just both need somebody that's like that Kyle Lowry, if you will. So maybe Kyle Lowry does fit in there, but there's just, I think something that gets overlooked is just that pure talent NBA 2K style of GMing. It's like, no, similar to the Heat, you need that leader to just show people the way a little bit there. So
yeah. I mean, we've touched on this a little bit, but like, do you think it's an attitude like a Kyrie Irving or Ben kind of showcases skills? But what do you think of that if you were Miami or if you were Brooklyn?
If I don't know if he would fit in Miami. I think that's the whole thing, right? Like Miami definitely has that, we've talked about it. A lot of them, they're all dogs, right? They have to have that killer instinct type of attitude. And hey, Kyrie definitely showed up in the playoffs, hit that clutch 3-pointer against Steph Curry. But, I think we've talked on this podcast, just like, he has yet to prove for us, like after not having LeBron around there, just like, hey, I am here. I'm taking this job seriously. I'm here to ball. And, he definitely showed up. I thought I saw something like he was like shooting crazy percentage, during Ramadan, I believe, right? And just balling out there. And then he had a banana and then he started eating more. And then all of a sudden, like, he lost his like enlightenment with regards to he's playing and all that. So, maybe he needs to, go on more fasting type of things. I don't know. So, but you're skip the pregame meal. But yeah, I would, if he were to show up like that, Kyrie, like it would be awesome for him to do that. Kind of show what he did, in Cleveland or during that one series in the playoffs. I think it was like the first round of the playoffs. When he's on the Nets and everything. So that would be great if he could show up there for the Heat, because I want to see Jimmy Butler get a chip. So if he can do that with Kyrie, I feel like that would be great. But Hero, I definitely want to see him progress. I don't know if he's there yet. I don't want to say maturity wise or anything like that, but to be that starter, to be creating his shots, playing good solid defense and everything there. I don't know if I see it yet, but he's still young. I don't think he's a lost cause yet. So I think he just maybe needs some a little bit more maturing there. And then obviously injuries kind of hurt him in the playoffs and kind of limit his play time there. So, but yeah, I if he wants to start, great. But I mean, hey, Manu's had a Hall of Fame career, right? So can't always do that. And to like Eric Spoelstra's thing with regards to having him off the bench, I think he's great off the bench. I think he definitely brings that extra, that 6-man role, which especially in this rotational period of in the NBA, like where you always need to have a scorer on there. He definitely fits that to the T. Can he start? Sure, but I think from a rotation standpoint, like having off the bench or like getting extended minutes with the second team, like he would definitely do well with that. Just because he can create his own shot and score. So I would, if I'm Hero, I would love to stay with the Heat more so. Just because I don't know what's going to happen if I were to go to the Nets or something like that. But if I'm Hero, I would prefer to stay. But hey, maybe if Kyrie were to join the Heat, he would just be like, all right, I'm just going to concentrate on ball and living the good life in a no state income tax state. So
yeah. I mean, you and I both agree though, like we could never trust Kyrie Irving to like come in and be serious for like 4 or 5 years and like play 80 games or 75 games a year and put up numbers and be a leader in the clubhouse. Like, it's kind of frustrating because I feel like a lot of these executives are like kidding themselves. Like, yeah, we all see the talent, but we also see the talent with a lot of guys like a Kyrie Irving. I mean, again, I'll go like Carmelo Anthony, Ben Simmons has flashed talent in the past. James Harden was amazing on Houston in his prime, but it's like, there are some guys where I'm like, can I really trust you if I give you 4 or 5 years worth of max money? Are you going to be here and show us that you're like dedicated to this? Like, maybe next year I could see Kyrie, putting a more serious effort forward if he doesn't get, I mean, he's going to get his deal. I just feel like that's going to happen. But, this swap for me in theory would make some sense. I mean, if I'm Miami, like, I don't think that how they're currently constructed is a finals winning squad, because number one, they're going to have to get through the East, which is, it's pretty top heavy, but then you also got to get through whoever your opponent is out west. And I don't know if they have enough in place right now to get that done. A guy like Kyrie at full blow for at least one season could be that difference maker if he really, really cared about it. So the biggest part for me, I mean, not as much on Lowry, but like with Hero, being 22 and putting up 25-4, I think he got the 6th Man of the Year award. Getting rid of a piece like that would be, you need to get somebody back who's gonna like one up that next year at least, while you still have like this very serious window of contention. For the Nets, I think it would do great good for them. I mean, if I was the Nets GM, I would think about all the trade scenarios that were put on the table from every single team, and I would take the best one, because there's just no way I'm doing 4 or 5 years with that guy. And Durant may say something, but if you come back to Durant and you said, look, I can get you Lowry, Hero, and some cap space, and I can get maybe we can bring back Drummond. Maybe we can bring back Nick Claxton too. I think he's restricted, but I can get you some other bench pieces. Do you want PJ Tucker? I'll bring you PJ Tucker for a year. I'd start going down the line. Like, here's how I'm going to create your championship team without Kyrie. Like, I think Kevin Durant would listen. And, I think, Hero on his own, he's not going to be the guy that, leads you to a championship, on his own, or, without some good support. But if he's with Brooklyn, if he's with Durant, if he's with Simmons, if he's got Lowry, if they can bring back some depth pieces with Seth Curry, like, now we're talking. Now we're getting there. So I thought the mock was interesting. I didn't think about Kyrie to Miami. But again, the other thing with Kyrie is, he's not going to go anywhere that's not sexy. So you got to find somewhere that's like spotlight, big city, very appealing to him. He's wearing out his welcome everywhere in the league. Like, where else is he going to go? Pat Riley, a type like Pat Riley is the only guy, like maybe barring like a Steve Kerr or a Popovich, that could rein that guy in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he would, it would be interesting, right? I think there's been like the Twitter laughter trade of what would happen if Kyrie and Westbrook switched spots, right? Like, what would that be like, right? I feel like it's like, why is Kevin Durant getting back with all his exes, right? If that were to happen.
God.
Yeah. So that would be hysterical if that were to happen. But I mean, it's like Kyrie is like one of the most talented, like talent-wise, right? Talented players in the NBA. You know, probably the best dribbles, like, you know, it's like either him or like Curry or like the best, like 99%, you know, 99 on NBA 2K or whatever, like hands down, like one of the best ballers ever. Like I get faked out and I'm just sitting there on the couch, right? Um, and he's also a tremendous shooter, tremendous finisher. So like, you know, he's got all the talent in the world with regards to just playing ball. But then, you know, how does he fit into the team? Kind of, you know, is he the leader? Is he like the second type of person, right? You know, that's kind of just been his whole thing, kind of post Cleveland right now. So in a way, it almost felt like, you know, with being in Cleveland, like was like made sense, you know, in terms of getting the best basketball quality out of him, because he just, it's like, what do you do in Cleveland? No, I just ball. Like then, you know, now he's in Brooklyn and, you know, he was in Boston and, you know, that whole thing. So it's like had a lot of, you know, distractions here and there. So like for him, it's just like if you just concentrate on ball and just, you know, concentrating on that, like great. Like, you know, what would happen if you were to move to Utah, right? That would be interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So he'd probably like, you know, win chips over there, like him and Mitchell. But yeah, like it's just for like him, it's just for whatever reason, it's just not, it's hard for him to kind of get it all there with whatever team he's on, unless he has like that LeBron, just be like that, you know, that staple to be like, hey, let's concentrate on winning. Hey, let's put all this stuff away, right? So, you know, maybe he's just not like that leader alpha that you want necessarily in that team to just take you over the hump. So, you know, kind of similar to Kawhi in a way. I think Kawhi kind of suffers from that. Like, you know, he won the chip when he was with Kyle Lowry, right? Lowry was the leader of that team. He was just the best. Kawhi Leonard was just the best player, had all the skills and best defensive player and all that. So, but wasn't necessarily the vocal leader to like, you know, tell the youngins, hey, don't do this, or, you know, work with the veterans, like, hey, let's do this for the team. So, yeah, I don't think he's a leader, but he's got a load of talent similar to Kawhi. So I think he just needs to go somewhere where he does have that kind of alpha there. And, you know, yeah, I don't know. And to me, Durant is kind of the same boat, like all the talent in the world, but, you know, he had to go to that 72 73 73 win team, right, to win a chip there. And he wasn't the leader for that team. He was the best player on the team, but not necessarily the leader on the team. So, you know, I think they just both need somebody that's like that Kyle Lowry, if you will. So maybe, yeah, Kyle Lowry does fit in there, but, you know, there's just, I think something that gets overlooked is just that pure talent NBA 2K style of GMing. It's like, no, similar to the Heat, you need that leader to just show people the way a little bit there. So
yeah. I mean, we've touched on this a little bit, but like, do you think it's an attitude like a Kyrie Irving or Ben or James? Like, is it salvageable? Like once you start, do you think he can honestly just straight up come back straight and say, I'm going to play 82 games this year, 80 games. I'm going to give you my all. I'm committed. And he's actually going to follow through. Like I question that so much. I'm so excited to see what Ben Simmons is post Philly because of how much crap he's gone through personally, which he put himself into, you know, and it's gone to the nth degree on the hate and the criticism. I'm just so interested to see, like, you know, the hate may always be there, but like, will these guys actually show up and change the narrative? Like, have we seen it in the past? Are we overlooking some experience where we're like that guy was a complete castaway, or like he was his own guy, and then he went there and it changed like the outcome of his career? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting. Like, at least for Kyrie, right? Like, he's like what? He's like going to be 30, or is he 30? Like, so he's a grown human being, right? Like, he's not some young, you know, trying to make it. Yeah, he's 30 years old. Looks like just turned 30 this past March. So, you know, he if he's not mature right now, like when will he ever be? I feel like, you know, I know guys age are mature slower than women, right? So, but it's like, when is he gonna just kind of be like, I don't know, be that leader type, be that like, hey, I'm gonna take this seriously. I'm just gonna ball out and yeah, just kind of be that, I don't know, that model person that you want him to be a little bit. I think that, I mean, I think for me, it's like, I was saying before, he has all the talent in the world. He's works hard on his craft, like takes it there, but then, with regards to like showing up on the court and like being that leader for a championship team, it's like, there's just something missing there with regards to all that. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, maybe the answer is just they have to be on juggernauts. Like, even a Kevin Durant, like, we all appreciate his talent. He's like one of the best scorers in the NBA period, now and in history. But it's like there might be stuff upstairs with guys like these where it's like they're just not one or two options on a championship team. They can't do it with just two guys. They need like 3-4 guys to like really, really be competitive. And it's like, we're talking about Kyrie in a situation for next year. And it's like, what didn't he have in Brooklyn that kept him off the court? Like, he had everything he wanted. Like, are these guys just scared of succeeding or failing and being ridiculed for it? So it's like, I just feel like it's like a fear of failing with that much talent and then being like on the spotlight. So like you just pull away and then just make it like the team that wasn't. So then like it kind of like takes away like some of the pressure of having to like sack up and do it.
Yeah, and not to say like this is all Kyrie's fault per se, or like even Durant's. It's like the Nets have just been either injured or there's just been a lot of like moving parts, like leadership, right? Like this was like Steve Nash's, I think it was like his first year, right? So it was like, there's a lot of moving parts. There's, it's funny, is right? How the Nets progressed with Steve Nash, and then all I call this talk about all these first time head coaches, right? That were NBA players, like with Jason Kidd when he got his first head coaching gig without even being an assistant coach, kind of jumping in the line, versus some of these other, people like assistant coaches like Udoka, right? Like, he kind of he had to strive to do all that, or like Nick Nurse, right? Like kind of going through that grind, having that experience, working with great head coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, right? That definitely helps. And even with Steve Kerr, like, he always talked about how he learned a lot from the best coaches of like our generations, right? Like with Phil Jackson, how he managed things, and also Greg Pop. So it's like, not to say that Steve Nash never interacted with great head coaches, but it's like there's definitely that difference between being, Steve Kerr, like he worked in the front office, before he became a head coach, right? So he definitely had that interaction, was able to, see people, kind of like figure people out in that aspect before he became a head coach for the Warriors. So I think he was like the GM of the Suns. I think he actually traded for Shaq, which I thought was horrible. Steve Nash needs to be like in an open floor setting. Like, he is not like a triangle. Like, that's the last thing you want Steve Nash to be doing, is just like chucking it over. Like, he's not Derek Fisher, whose only practical use case is just to shoot like an open shot. That's showing underutilizing Steve Nash's skill set. So definitely a better coach than a GM. So, but yeah, like there definitely needs to, I feel like, maybe it takes some time for the Nets to gel. Maybe they have a better season next year. There was a lot of drama. There was a lot of like, with Kyrie with regards to that. Maybe some of that is self-incriminating, if you will. But at the same time, I feel like, they just either need to gel, or they need to have just somebody to like, hey, we need to be on track on all this stuff. And I maybe Steve Nash just wasn't doing it for them in that sense. But hey, maybe this next season they progress and, kind of take this season with a grain of salt and move on from it. So
yeah, I mean, Kyrie Irving played 29 games last year and he was healthy. Like, that shouldn't happen. So like, I don't know. I can't give this guy any passes. I will agree. Like, not having Joe Harris was big. I feel like they had other key injuries. I mean, Harden banged up. Kevin, I feel like, was banged up a little bit. Those are big. Like, you're not going to win basketball games without your best guys on the court. So I do get that. I mean, Kyrie to me is like highly culpable in this situation. He seemingly always is with whatever team he's been on since Cleveland. And I think Tim Legler said it today, but he was like, Kyrie has won the same amount or less playoff games since he left Cleveland than he did in his 1 year where the Cleveland Cavaliers had their run. So it's like, you think about that and you're like, man, it's been some time since you've been with Cleveland. Like, what have you been up to, man? And it's the same case. Like, we're just we could exhaust us all night. I mean, honestly, but
I mean, he was with Boston too. Like, it was interesting, right? Like, we were looking at the Boston team and I was like, what were they missing? Like, that true point guard, like, because they were just turning over the ball over, right? So, and hey, who showed up with the clutch shot in like Game 7 against Steph Curry? It was Kyrie. So like, he would have been great there, but he just didn't mesh well at Boston. So like, that was a good situation for him having those two wings over there. So like, that could have been a what if and all that. But
the saddest thing is, like, Brooklyn was his choice. That was his choice. That's where he's like from. That's like the team he liked growing up. Like, it was it's just, I mean, at some point, man, you just got to put a kid in timeout and just be like, sit on the stairs for a while, like, think about what you've done, and when you're ready, you can come off those stairs and come back a better person. Like, he's never been put in timeout. Like, I swear, Brooklyn's this is what's gonna happen. Brooklyn's he's gonna use his leverage. Kevin's gonna say something too. He's gonna get his max extension, and like, we're gonna see him like half the season every season until that contract is over. It's gonna be the worst contract besides the James Harden max that will come up. But I don't know, man. I just have it's entertaining to me how much pressure these guys face, like, in those probably executive rooms, like. They're probably like Adam Sandler of Hustle, just like, trying to appease their owners and like not fuck up. So I don't know.
I would love to see that Kevin Durant or the Kyrie for Westbrook trade. That would be hysterical if that does happen. No,
Man, be too good. But man, good episode. I thought that was it was a lot of fun. We didn't really touch on Chet Holmgren. Not that we have to go deep into it, but I don't know, man. A 7-footer that's under 200 pounds, like, that just doesn't sound like a top 3 pick to me, man. I don't know. Like, I don't have much else to say. I'm kind of scared about that guy.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely need to eat a couple steaks, whether he goes to Houston or Oklahoma City, right? Like, he get some steaks over there, he'll be fine. 7-footers that come in and they're all skinny, and Kevin Durant was pretty skinny, but he just needs to protein up a little bit or something like that. So Chet, just eat some steaks, use that expense account that the team gives you, and you'll be fine. So
sounds good, man. We'll beef up Chet. We'll look forward to seeing you on Thursday night, but great episode with Wayne Pua. I'm Patrick Miller. We're signing off for Ball and Breakfast.
Take care, all.